Part 7. Last time on What If Naruto was neglected and left the village. Kushina stared at the scene before her in absolute shock. There stood a strange creature covered in thick black fur. Its face had a long beak and what appeared to be circles where the eyes would be. It stood roughly at 7 feet tall, had 5 fingers and 4 toes, the Birdman. In its right hand it held a barely alive shark in the air, clutching his throat tightly. She looked around and to her horror everyone else was dead. Aotora was crushed under 8 trees with a broken neck. Lycan was torn up to the point he was barely recognizable. Keiko had a hole through her stomach and out the back, and Ha had a similar hole in his gut along with a more refined and smoking hole through his chest. The creature turned its head to her. Looks like someone else wants to play. Crunch sploosh, it squeezed its right hand tightly, completely destroying Shark's neck. Blood, flesh, bone and muscle went everywhere as the Anbu's head went into the air while his decapitated body fell to the ground. Thud, his head fell to the ground as the Birdman swung his open hand, making the remnants of neck spill onto the ground. Kushina gripped her katana tightly as she drew it from its sheath. Suddenly the image of a massive humanoid muscular demon with a cycloptic eye, 2 large horns on its head and sharp fangs appeared from the strange creature. The creature scared her. It was far more frightening than the Kyuubi. Granted, it seemed like it wanted to rip her to pieces and then eat her bit by bit. "You didn't run from my intimidation?" "That's a first," the Birdman said as he began to walk towards Kushina. "Consider my interest piqued." "You're the one who killed my teammates," she stated. "Yeah, I did. How could you?" 3 of them were still children. "To be fair, they did attack me first." "That's no excuse, they were children," Kushina roared as she charged the Birdman. Clang, she swung her sword across its chest only for the blade to bounce harmlessly off. "Perhaps you'd be better off knowing that your 2 friends tried that already," it said. "I even told them that my fur alone is made with reinforced aramid fibers." Its arms crossed his chest with the hands at its waist. The thing began to swing its arms multiple times as it threw chunks of fur at Kushina. "Suten Sujin Hiki!" Kushina yelled as she created a large wall by expelling the mater from her mouth. Many people said that Kushina was the most powerful water user after Tobirama Senju. However, her water wall didn't stop the deadly chunks of fur as they easily passed through. Kushina used her sword to parry and block the black darts. However, some managed to get past her late as they sliced her along her shoulders, arms, side and right cheek. The Birdman leaped through the water with its right arm cocked back. Mixer punch. Clang, vroom. Kushina blocked the attack with her blade, though the force of the punch threw her back into a tree. "It's been a long time since I've had such an opponent," the Birdman said after they disengaged from their bout. "You are a much more worthy opponent than those last 5 people. A sign of respect. I will remove my pain limiters. From now on I will feel 100% of your attacks. And I will fight you with everything I've got." "That's not the real you, is it?" "No, it's not. This machine is known as a gourmet teleassistance robot, or a GT Robo for short. It's designed to acquire ingredients from location that would be impossible for humans to go, such as the bottom of the sea, or even space if necessary. I myself generally prefer to go without the pain limiters," the machine said. "To so readily turn off your limiters means your true strength far surpasses that of this thing you operate. True, when using a robo I can't even release a fraction of my power, and it's too slow for me anyway. It is a good way for me to gather ingredients without causing too much damage." "You mentioned my name before, GT Robo," Kushina said. "Tell me yours, so that we may fight equally." "Even if I do tell you my name, it wouldn't make this fight equal," the robot said. "But since you're growing on me, I'll tell you my name. My name is Starjin." "Starjin, I shall not forget your name," Kushina said, gripping her katana. "And I shall not forget yours," Kushina. Starjin said. It was then he noticed all the wounds Kushina had from his peeler shot had healed up. "Interesting, your gourmet cells have been specialized for healing. Either that or you used the dark technique without me noticing." "Gourmet cells? Dark technique? Just what the hell are you talking about?" Starjin reached up and scratched his left temple. "Right, the people on this continent don't have gourmet cells, nor can they use that technique. Suten Kotsuken," Kushina said as her entire katana was encased in water. "Tsunami Gary sploosh slash." Kushina launched a large wave of water at Starjin, who didn't bother dodging as the wave sliced through the ground, pushing him with it. Arms across his chest moments before the water slash struck. When the wave dissipated, large dents were visible on the GT Robo's arms and chest where the wave struck, indicating that it dealt some damage. "I'm not done yet," Kushina said as she flashed through hand signs. Suten Suryuden, a small puddle next to her, churned and exploded into the shape of a giant water dragon that headed straight for Starjin. Sploosh had hit the robot head-on, giving the operator no time to react, or so she thought. With speed that she believed could rival the Raikage, Starjin was mere inches away from her. That all you got? Suiton Dai Uzumaki, Kushina yelled quickly as she swung her water-encased sword around her. Sploosh, a giant tornado of water erected itself around Kushina between her and Starjin. Note to self. Later I need to make a knife similar to her sword, Starjin said to himself as stray water slashes and droplets collided with his robot, causing minimal damage. Note number 2. GT robos need to have their water pressure resistance increased. Whap! Starjin's robotic right arm reached through the raging water tornado and grabbed Kushina by the throat before pulling her through her own technique. Kushina felt herself being slashed up and struck by her own technique as she was pulled through. The Dai Uzumaki was a defensive and offensive technique, meant to create a raging whirlpool around the user as a defensive wall that would attack with slashes made from the water and small water bullets. Yet never before had Kushina thought of this happening as she found herself hoisted up but Starjin's robot. It had reached through the raging whirlpool and pulled her out, turning the technique against its owner. Her technique did in fact affect his arm to a certain degree, as it was covered with multiple slice dents and small holes from small water droplets that were moving at great speed. Funny how your abilities are similar if opposite of mine. But I have to say mine are far more badass. Whap! Starjin grabbed her left hand by the wrist before the water wrap sword could strike him. Now that's not very nice, Kushina. But then again, neither is this crack with its mighty strength. Starjin's robo snapped Kushina's wrist. Thwa croc! In retaliation, Kushina punched the robot's face as hard as she could. Kushina seemed to shake with pain as the bones while leaving a small dent in the robo's face. This is getting sad. I'll just put you out of your misery. Whap! The robo's face split vertically, revealing a cannon. Farewell, Kushina Uzumaki. Pyuma laser beam pierced through Kushina's upper right chest, destroying most of her lung and any motor control she had over her right arm. Impressive. Just before I fired the beam, you struck my head with enough force to move it slightly to the right, Clack! Starjin said as the head closed. You prevented what would have been an instant kill. However, in the end you are still left without an arm, a lung, and with a fatal wound. Starjin raised his left arm. Breathing is a huge labor now, and you can't fight me with only one arm. I'll put you out of your misery this time. Whap! Kushina grabbed his arm before his blow struck. What the? I can't move my arm, Starjin thought as he looked from Kushina's left arm to her face. Her eyes, which had been covered by her bangs moments before, were now red with black slits for pupils. What the Kriyash snap! Kushina squeezed her left hand as completely destroyed the part of Starjin's arm that she held. Arg! Since his pain limiters were removed, Starjin had the luxurious feeling of having his radius and ulna shattered and then having his arm torn off from that point down. Damn, Starjin said as he dropped Kushina to clutch the remainder of the mechanical arm. She stood her ground as a red aura surrounded her. The aura began to form ears and a tail around her head and lower back respectively, while claws formed around her hands and feet. That, however, was not what intrigued Starjin the most. What intrigued him was seeing the fatal wound in her right chest being filled by organs and tissue as the wound reconstructed itself to the point where it looked like it never happened. Unfortunately for Kushina, this meant her right breast was completely exposed to the public, though neither fighter was all too concerned with such a minor thing. Starjin, Kushina said, her voice fierce and beast-like. We should end out battle quickly. I do not know how long I can control this for. It appears that we both have inner demons, Kushina, and we both struggle to keep them restrained. Let's let them out in what could be our last confrontation and have ourselves a wild battle. Grawr! Kushina roared as an image of an enormous nine-tailed fox appeared behind her. Raw! Starjin yelled as his cycloptic demon appeared behind him. Kaboom! The fighting spirit from both of them was more than enough to have all the animals in the surrounding area. The two demons were suddenly grappling with each other in a contest of strength. The Cyclops proceeded to bite into the Kyoubi's right shoulder, drawing blood before tearing out the chunk of skin with its sheer jaw strength. Kushina and Starjin charged each other's shoulders. The force of the collision sent out a shockwave in all directions. Kushina pushed against Starjin, but even with one arm he was matching and surpassing her strength. Whap! Pyum! The robo's head split open and fired a beam, tearing off a large chunk of Kushina's shoulder, despite the protection from the chakra cloak. In retaliation, the Kyoubi drove one of its nine tails into and through the Cyclops' gut. To which the Cyclops replied with driving its left fist into the Kyoubi's stomach, making the beast roar in pain. Kushina gritted her teeth in pain after having part of her right shoulder blasted away. Instinctively she had her chakra tail pierce through the stomach of Starjan's GT Robo. Starjan was going to feel that one in the morning. Ack! Starjan coughed in pain before cocking back his left fist mixer punch. Thunkvrum Starjan's fist drilled into Kushina's midsection, its aramid fiber fur melting away from the chakra cloak's heat as it did so. The demon fox grabbed the other monster's arm, which still remained in its gut, and slammed its elbow and knee together on the exposed arm, making the other beast roar. Before punching and clawing at its face. Ack! Kushina also coughed up blood from that blow before she grabbed a hold of his arm before it could be withdrawn. Crackling, she slammed her left arm and leg together with Starjan's arm in between them. The sound of metal cracking was heard as Starjan felt the pain of his left arm being broken. While Starjan was momentarily distracted, the redhead pounced. Whim slash Kushina began to mercilessly punch and slice at the robot's head, leaving many dents and claw marks on the extremely tough head. Her relentless attack had damaged the head so much Starjan could no longer use the laser within. The cycloptic demon created a barrage of fire jet streams and threw them at the Kyuubi. Each one incinerated a very small area of the monstrous fox, making it howl in pain. A peeler shot. Using only one partially broken hand, Starjan managed to throw a large barrage of fur at Kushina. Shunk. The bits of fur that weren't completely melted sliced at Kushina all over. When they were done, she was bleeding from her left temple and neck. Both her arms and legs were torn up, but still usable, and many other slashes could still be found all over her body. Gah! Kushina yelled in pain after being slashed so many times. The fox fired a blast at the demon, blowing away its lower right side. Both demons cocked back their left fists as they charged for the final clash. Their fists collided with such force the whole world felt like it shook in that moment. Roar! Kushian roared at the robot in rage. The roar's force was so strong that it would have hit the robot, it would have been obliterated. Starjan's speed saved him from this fate, though his lower right side wasn't so lucky. He clenched his left fist tightly as Kushian held out her left palm as a blue sphere began to form in it. Red chakra flooded into the sphere, turning it violet in color. Boom! Both fighters charged each other, destroying the ground as they pushed off, left arms cocked back with their attacks ready. Mixer punch Rasengan, they both yelled as the attacks collided. Kaboom! The Kyuubi's fist was stronger as it tore through the Cyclops' entire arm. They locked eyes one last time before the Kyuubi blasted the demon point blank with a Bijutama. Kriesh! Boom! Kushina's Rasengan tore completely through Starjan's left arm, liberating the villainous machine of its final weapon. Looks like I've lost, Starjan said, looking up to the sky, before looking back to Kushina, who was preparing another violet sphere in her right hand. Tell me, Kushina, did this fight make your blood boil? Was it a fun battle? Kushina was just silent as her chakra shroud faded away, yet the violet sphere remained. Well, I will say this, that was a lot of fun, Kushina. Let's play again sometime. We'll play again in hell, bastard, Kushina said. Rasengan, she yelled as she slammed the chakra sphere into what remained of the robot's chest. VRRM! Starjan was thrown back, his entire body spinning as he his obstacle after obstacle before kaboom, it exploded into a million pieces. The battle was over, she had won, but at a terrible price. Her entire team lay around her slaughtered, an entire village was wiped out because of some apples. Despite it being a victory, for Kushina it was more of a hollow victory, so much lost and nothing gained. Silently as tear poured down her eyes, Kushina buried each member of her team in what used to be the forest. Each one was buried with a golden apple so that they may know that in death they succeeded in reclaiming what was taken. While the redhead paid her last respects to her fallen comrades, her wounds she received during the final fight began to heal at their usual fast rate. Aotora liken Keiko hawk and shark, Kushina said as she held Keiko's beads to her lips. While you all may be gone from the world, your spirits will remain forever in my heart. Somewhere else in the world, a man wearing a black bodysuit covered with gray balls was shaking as he pulled a gray helmet off his head. He had long black hair, a furrowed brow, yet with handsome features, a large burn scar on the left side of his face and neck. He had a Caucasian skin color. What a fight! He looked down at his trembling right hand. My blood boiled throughout that battle, and now I can't stop myself from shaking with excitement. Lord Starjan, did you retrieve Persephone's apples? One man said. Big mistake. Move, Starjan commanded as he pushed the man out of his way as he left the GT Robo pilot room. The man he pushed began to scream as he burst into flames, but Starjan kept walking. I finally have met someone who is strong enough to catch my interest. Kushina, how strong will you be when we meet again? Down a dark corridor. Flashback: no jutsu release. And that's what happened, Kushina said as she opened her eyes, looking around the room at the stunned faces of her husband, his sensei, his student, her role model, her daughter and her newborn son. I never told anyone that story, except for Sarutobi when I reported the mission. Kushina Minato said, why didn't you tell any of us? Because I was afraid that those events would repeat themselves if I ever met that man again, Kushina said, tears beginning to fall down her cheeks. Bakatsunade said, sitting down next to Kushina, this was something you should have told us about. We could have helped you overcome this problem. Says the drunken gambler who ran away when her boyfriend died and proceeded to spend a large chunk of her family savings to debts and booze, Jiraiya said before Tsunade shot him a death glare. I mean what? Starjin, he corrected himself, scratching his chin. I don't know much about him besides his name and his voice. Kushina shuddered. My memories of him disappeared almost the same day I discovered I was already 1 month pregnant with the twins. If you ask me, it was a miracle that nothing happened to either of them during that battle, Tsunade said. I could have lost my oldest 2 children before I would have even known about them. Minato said, that's awful. It was as if my mind was trying to convince me that everything would be alright. I never would have guessed that I would be meeting him here face to face in this lifetime. Kushina continued, trying to get back on track. Kushina, is he really as powerful as you think? Minato asked, crouching down to her level and looking her in the eyes. He was concerned. This man had almost taken his wife and first 2 children away 8 years ago, and just today he almost took his wife and youngest 2 again. Both times there was nothing Minato could have done. No, he's not as powerful as I thought he would be, Kushina said. Well, that's Kakashi began to say. He's far stronger than anything I could possibly imagine. Even if the Kyuubi were still sealed within me and I had access to all his powers, Starjin would still have the upper hand. The 4 shinobi were stunned by that last comment. Was this man from the ramen shop really as powerful as Kushina said he was? Slam! Suddenly the door to the Hokage office was busted open by a kick as Mikoto Uchiha entered the room. Kushina, what the hell happened? Are you okay? Mikoto asked. Did yelled, I've been hearing thing about a strange man leaving ramen Ichiraku just before you. And then everyone suddenly collapsed after seeing themselves in the village burned to oblivion. Mikoto, I'm fine, just shaken up, that's all, Kushina said. I just told them about that man everyone is talking about. It would only be fair if I told you the truth. 30 minutes later. Did he say anything to you at the shop? Mikoto asked after hearing Kushina's story. He said he was hunting someone, Natsumi chimed in, and something about a group called Akatsuki. Jiraiya and Minato turned to the little redhead, their eyes wide. Akatsuki? Minato asked, trying to reaffirm what he just heard. Yes, Tao-san, Natsumi said. What if he's a member of Akatsuki? Jiraiya said out loud. He's not, Kushina said. Everyone looked at her. He said he's hunting someone who may be a member of Akatsuki. Whether he's on our side or not, he's still a dangerous man, Minato said, folding his arms across his chest. I'll let all our forces know not to fight him, rather avoid a confrontation at all costs. Sounds like a plan, Hokage-sama. If you'd like, might I insert my 2 cents on the subject? A new voice said, catching everyone in the office by surprise. They all looked around and found themselves looking at a young man roughly in his mid-30s sitting at Minato's desk eating what appeared to be a bowl of fried rice. He had short black hair with a long braid down his back, an angular face, and a maroon oriental garb. On the back garb was a red spiral and there a blue sash tied from his right shoulder across his chest to his left hip and around his waist. Who the hell are you? All the shinobi present demanded while grabbing at their closest weapons. Oh, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Shen. I am the assistant master at the Uzushiagakure Hidden Temple. I am here to offer the Namikaze Uzumaki family training in a lost shinobi art. Kushina, is he really as powerful? Minato asked, crouching down to her level and looking her in the eyes. He was concerned. This man had almost taken his wife and first 2 children away 8 years ago, and just today he almost took his wife and youngest 2 again. Both times there was nothing Minato could have done. No, he's not as powerful as I thought he would be, Kushina said. Well, that's Kakashi began to say. He's far stronger than anything I could possibly imagine. Even if the Kyuubi were still sealed within me and I had access to all his powers, Starjin would still have the upper hand. The 4 shinobi were stunned by that last comment. Was this man from the ramen shop really as powerful as Kushina said he was? Slam! Suddenly the door to the Hokage office was busted open by a kick as Mikoto Uchiha entered the room. Kushina, what the hell happened? Are you okay? Mikoto asked. Did yelled, I've been hearing thing about a strange man leaving ramen Ichiraku just before you. And then everyone suddenly collapsed after seeing themselves in the village burned to oblivion. Mikoto, I'm fine, just shaken up, that's all, Kushina said. I just told them about that man everyone is talking about. It would only be fair if I told you the truth. 30 minutes later. Did he say anything to you at the shop? Mikoto asked after hearing Kushina's story. He said he was hunting someone. Natsumi chimed in and something about a group called Akatsuki. Jiraiya and Minato turned to the little redhead, their eyes wide. Akatsuki, Minato asked, trying to reaffirm what he just heard. Yes, Tao-san, Natsumi said. What if he's a member of Akatsuki? Jiraiya said out loud. He's not, Kushina said. Everyone looked at her. He said he's hunting someone who may be a member of Akatsuki. Whether he's on our side or not, he's still a dangerous man, Minato said, folding his arms across his chest. I'll let all our forces know not to fight him, rather avoid a confrontation at all costs. Sounds like a plan, Hokage-sama. If you'd like, might I insert my 2 cents on the subject? A new voice said, catching everyone in the office by surprise. They all looked around and found themselves looking at Hurties sitting at Minato's desk eating what appeared to be a bowl of fried rice. He had short black hair with a long braid, an angular face, and a maroon oriental garb. On the garb was a red spiral and there a blue sash tied from his right shoulder across his chest to his left hip and around his waist. Who the hell are you? All the shinobi present demanded while grabbing at their closest weapons. Oh, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Shen. I am the assistant master at the Uzushiagakure Hidden Temple. I am here to offer the Namikaze Uzumaki family training in a lost shinobi art. The entire room was stunned by this man's declaration. He claimed to be from Uzushiagakure, but not only that, he claimed to be the assistant master to a temple that even Kushina didn't know about. Okay, Shen, Minato said, how do we know you aren't lying? Whoosh, Minato was suddenly behind Shen, his trademark kune at the man's throat. Wow, Hokage-sama, you sure are fast, Shen said, unfazed and still eating, but I've seen faster. He said, deathly serious. Uzushiagakure was destroyed in the Third Shinobi World War. Kushina said there is no way that this supposed temple survived, let alone exists. She pointed her sword between his eyes. Your hair is black. Uzumaki have red hair, so you can't be an Uzumaki. I am an Uzumaki, Shen said. Well, half anyway, like your son over there, he said, gesturing to baby Menma. My father was an Uzumaki, perhaps you've heard of him. Try me, Kushina said. She wasn't too happy with the fact this man claimed to be one of her people, and worse, he was toying with her emotions. Uzumaki Yoshi. Master of the Uzushiagakure Hidden Temple, former captain of the Uzumaki Main House Royal Guard, best friend and blood brother to clan head Saki, as well as the guardian of his 3 children. Uzumaki Hidario, Uzumaki Irami, Uzumaki Ryoboku and Uzumaki Kushina. To say Kushina was stunned would be an understatement. She was absolutely shocked. This man's father was Uzumaki Yoshi, her father's best friend, her protector, and only he would know about her brother and sisters. Yoshi-sama is your father, she asked, lowering her blade slightly. Yep, and he wishes to train you, your husband and your 3. Shen stopped when he looked at Natsumi and Menma. He pointed to each one, counting 1 2 3 4. Where's number 5? I was told there should be 5, he asked and demanded. That's a long story, Shen, Minato said, glancing down as he lowered his kune. It started about. We've no time for that, Shen said as he stood already by the door. Minato, Kushina, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Mikoto, Menma and Natsumi had to do a doubly take. He was sitting in the Hokage's chair with a bowl of rice, and now he was already by the door, his bowl nowhere to be seen. Which training ground would be the most appropriate for a test? Any of the training grounds should work. Excellent, I'll meet you at training ground 5 inches, he said before vanishing in a swirl of water. So fast, they all thought. Over at training field 5, the 5 shinobi and the 2 kids arrived. Minato and Kushina wore their shinobi attire while Natsumi wore an orange and blue jumpsuit. Mikoto volunteered to hold Menma. Even if he was supposed to take this test, Minato and Kushina probably wouldn't let it happen. Ah, here we are, a voice said. They all turned to see Shen arriving on scene. This time he was holding a half-eaten dango. He stuck the whole thing into his mouth, pulled the remaining pieces off the stick and ate them whole. Now then, let's begin. Okay, what do we have to do? Natsumi asked as Shen stopped right in front of her. For you and Menma-kun, I just need to do this. Thump. Shen placed his fist right against her chest and closed his eyes. What are you? Shhh. Don't interrupt, Shen said as his brow became furrowed. Bubbly, free-spirited, has a little inner turmoil, and then there is something else. A great power within this girl. He concentrated even harder. Is it evil? No, I can't tell. Wait, it's as if there is something else sealed within her along with this power. That's what I can't understand. Shen opened his eyes and retracted his fist. Is that it? Natsumi asked. Yep, that's it, Shen said. What I felt within you confused me. I'll leave it up to my master whether or not you receive the training, but for now you pass. Now for Menmakun. The black-haired man turned to the little baby in Mikado's arms. He repeated the same gesture with Menma as he did with Natsumi. A second later he opened his eyes and retracted his fist. Just as I thought, pure and innocent. He passes with flying colors. Wait, what? Everyone asked, completely confused as to what he just did. I'll explain this test after I finished with Kushinaheim and Minato-sama. Shen walked to the Uzumaki princess and, like with her children, made the same movements. This feels almost exactly like her daughter, only much more powerful and less, what's the word I'm looking for, malicious? No evil? No. Oh well, I'll think of it later. Shen then turned his attention to Minato. Oh, this isn't good. He appears to be a very conflicted soul. On one hand he seems like a righteous bastard, while on the other he seems borderline emo. Shen opened his eyes and took several steps back, looking at the couple. Okay, so out of you four, only Kushinaheim, Menmakun and Natsumi-chan passed. Minato-sama, you are too conflicted as of now to learn these secret shinobi arts. What? Minato asked, dumbfounded. Don't question me nor try to play dumb, Shen said in a serious tone. Look deep inside yourself and you'll see it to be true. I learned the whole story just from reading your chakra not 2 minutes ago. You neglected and practically abandoned your son to a sea of wolves. No, not wolves. Wolves are noble creatures that care for each other. You fed him to the hyenas without a care or second thought. Until you grow a pair and fix the grand mess you've created, I cannot allow you to learn the Uzumaki secrets that you married into. I understand, Minato said, lowering his head in defeat. Shen leaned it in next to the Hokage and whispered into his ear ever so quietly. While you may not be meant to learn these techniques, I believe there is something else out there for you. Ask your sensei about it. Now then, since we have an opening for one more person to come with us, I believe you are the best choice, Shen said, pointing to Mikoto. Now everyone looked completely confused. Me? But I. Are our princess best friend? The godmother to Menmakun? Have 2 little boys that you're always worried for? An Uchiha? What? Shen asked, what's the problem? Mikoto was at a loss for words, unable to say anything. An Uzumaki, from their homeland, was offering her and Uchiha the chance to learn secrets that were only learned by Uzumaki. I don't need to do my test to see your wavelengths, Shen said, placing his hands into his sleeves across his chest. Now then, we must be off to use a Shiagakure if you all want to learn chakra resonance and control. Meanwhile, out of the vast blue sea, the Straw Hat Pirates found themselves sailing in what many could call familiar waters. One of the world's most wanted pirate crews, today was an extremely laid-back and lazy day. On the brass deck of the Thousand Sunny, Chopper was compounding several seeds from plants he had Usopp help hybridize and grow. Behind him, sleeping, giving the little man reindeer shade, was the nine-tailed fox himself, Kurama. Being outside Naruto, Kurama had begun and continued to interact with the Straw Hat Pirates more than ever, now that he didn't need Naruto as a translator. Out of all the Straw Hats, Kurama seemed to get along with Chopper the best, mainly because they had several key similarities. They were some sort of animal, both were highly misunderstood before they met people that actually cared, and both of them were powerful ass-kicking monsters. Chopper saw the fox as an older brother of sorts, and the reverse could be said for Kurama. His daily activities involved sleeping and peeping on the girls' room with Brook and Sanji, more specifically when they bathed. The demon fox had even tried to corrupt Naruto down the path of a pervert. It was partial victory, as Naruto was now partially a pervert, but he would never peep on Nami and Robin. Flashback no jutsu. PSSST, Naruto, Kurama said, poking a sleeping Naruto. The boy had taken up a habit of falling asleep anywhere, just like Zoro. Wake up. NNNGH, Naruto grumbled as he woke up. What do want, Kurama? Naruto said, rubbing his eyes. Do you want to see something awesome? The Bijou asked. Sure, Naruto said. What is this? I can't tell you that. Now hurry before Sanji and Brook ruin the moment, Kurama said, heading off to the bathroom. Why do I have a very bad feeling about this? Naruto said, heading after the big fox. When he arrived at the bathroom, he saw Brook, Sanji and Kurama peeking through a partially open door, while steam rolled out. Hee hee, Sanji, Brook and Kurama giggled as blood trickled down their noses. Nami Swan and Robin Swan sure are beautiful, Sanji said. I wish this moment would last forever. This is and them showing their panties, Brook chuckled. Yes, this has got to be the greatest day of my life. What the hell is so intriguing? Naruto said as he too poked his head around the corner out of curiosity. Oh, he said as blood began to trickle down his nose. Inside the bathroom were both Nami and Robin, both completely naked, their bodies covered in a mixture of soap and water. Robin was in the actual bath while Nami was standing under a cloud that was raining down on her. Robin, do you hear some birdies watching us? Nami, looking at the older woman out of the corner of her eye. I do actually. They've been there for a while now, Robin replied as she closed her eyes. Are you going to teach them another lesson, Nami? Bzzzt. The cloud over Nami's head turned black, crackling with electricity as it flew towards the door. Hopefully this time they'll stop being perverts. Crack boom, the cloud discharged onto Sanji, Brook, Kurama and Naruto, giving them the shock of their lives and covering them all in slight burns. Thanks to that shock, my heart is beating at a mile a minute now, Brook said. Ah, but I don't have a heart. Yahaha, skull joke. Every time I see Nami Swan and Robin Swan I still get that spark, like it's the first time we've met. Sanji said, the smoke from his body and cigarette taking the form of hearts as it drifted towards the sky. I've been around for 900 years, this is definitely the best day ever, Kurama chimed in. I am never going to peep on Nami or Robin again so long as I live, Naruto said. Kurama looked at him with wide-eyed confusion. Alright, I'll admit, I'll probably peep on other girls. Well, it's a start. Are you idiots trying to corrupt Naruto? Nami asked dangerously as she and Robin emerged from the bathroom. Both were wearing towels around their bodies. Nami was gripping her Climatac tightly, lighting seemed to run along the whole shaft. No, all three members of the pervert trio said, clearly lying. Bad answer. Flashback no jutsu release. While the beastly duo was resting on the deck, the rest of the Straw Hats were going about their daily business. Sanji was in the kitchen cooking lunch. Brook was in the rear of the ship composing a new song, but didn't want anyone to hear it just yet. Frankie and Usopp were in their workshops, both working on something big as they claimed. Luffy was on the Sunny's head chilling while Nami was in the library drawing another map. Zoro, Robin and Naruto were up in the crow's nest having a little bonding time, also known as Zoro puts Naruto through physical hell as a minor warm-up while Robin drills knowledge into his head. Figuratively, of course. Zoro was shirtless, wearing only his dark green pants. His swords and sash were against the wall as he was working out. Zoro himself was doing push-ups with only his index fingers. In his mouth was a long iron bar with 3 one-ton weights on each side. On his back, Robin sat reading a book while 2 additional arms growing out of her shoulders were lifting 50 pounds weights. Under his chest was a decent amount of yellow flames. Robin's outfit consisted of a very revealing light purple top, that didn't do too good of a job hiding her sports bra, and dark purple spandex shorts that cut off just below her hips. Naruto was about a foot off to Zoro's side doing one-handed handstand push-ups. He was wearing nothing but an orange pair of sweatpants. Like Zoro, he had bar in his mouth except it only had about 100 pounds total on it, otherwise he might just break his jaw, despite accelerated healing. From his free hand a constant stream of fire poured onto the flames beneath Zoro's chest. Staring him in the face was a hand holding up a book on more advanced ninja tactics and control exercises. Sitting on his feet was another Robin, wearing the exact same thing as the real Robin and even doing the exact same thing. 9,996 The real Robin counted, looking up from her book and over to Naruto. Poor kid looked like he was going to collapse from the enormous strain he was putting on his body and mind. 9,997 She continued counting before noticing the flames beneath her and Zoro getting smaller and weaker. Oi Naruto, don't let those flames die down just yet, Zoro said to the blonde. Flew beneath Zoro intensified, releasing a large amount of heat. 9,998 Come on Naruto, just 2 more, she said reassuringly. 9999, 10000. She counted. Boom, Naruto collapsed to the ground. The flames and Robin's clone dispelling in the same instant. Huff huff huff, Naruto panted, extremely exhausted. Why the hell do I push myself through this kind of warm-up over and over again? You were the cloth out of an ice water bucket. He wrung it before placing it onto the back of his neck. Besides, remember what I said, do whatever I tell you, no exceptions, no questions. Flashback no jutsu, again. Naruto and Zoro stood in the middle of a forest. This was one of their first training sessions. So Zoro, what are you going to teach me today? Naruto asked eagerly. Today we'll be working on your reflexes and speed, Zoro said, his arms folded across his chest. Now before we begin, you agree to follow my methods, no exceptions, no questions. Yes sir, Naruto said, saluting, unaware of what he was getting into. Good. Zoro gripped Wado with his left hand. Now dodge. Wait, what? Slash. Zoro unleashed a large flying slash at the blonde boy who barely had time to avoid the attack. The slash was so powerful that it left a deep the ground as it continued for another 20 meters. What the hell, Zoro? Naruto yelled. Are you trying to kill me? I said no questions. Dodge, Zoro yelled, ignoring the blonde's question as he fired a spiraling slash at the defenseless child. Boo! Slash tore through trees like it was nothing before blasting through a large boulder. Someone save me. Zoro's trying to kill me. Dodge, baboom. Flashback. No jutsu release. I know. Kill me each time, Naruto yelled back. I'm not trying to kill you, Zoro said, rolling his one visible eye. I'm merely trying to get you to dodge better as well as increase your speed. I still don't see how making me do such ridiculous training regimens helps with those things when half the time I gotta stay in one place. Naruto gripped Harosame tightly as he began to draw eye out of its sheath. In the process he seemed to be surrounded by orange flames. If you're gonna complain about my training, then go train with number 7 down in the kitchen, Zoro responded by drawing out Shusu and Sandai Kitetsu. Blue of blue and orange flames. Robin just watched the bickering too with her normal smile. She looked out the window to see an island shape appear on the horizon. I see it, everyone heard a certain rubber idiot yell. Hey everyone, I see the island. Oh, it appears we've arrived, she said, causing the green-haired man and the blonde-haired boy to stop fighting and look out the window. Currently the pirates were not under sail power but rather cola-powered motion. Why, you ask? Well, you see, they are currently in the calm belt heading for a certain island. Luffy begged and begged this island for a while now, his main reason being that they had real good food. Yes, the Straw Hat Pirates were on their way to Amazon Lily. And for several surprises when they get there. I know I agreed to that, but and kill me each time, Naruto yelled back. I'm not trying to kill you, Zoro said, rolling his one visible eye. I'm merely trying to get you to dodge better as well as increase your speed. I still me do such ridiculous training regimens helps with those things when half the time I gotta stay in one place. Naruto gripped Harosama tightly as he began to draw eye out of its sheath. In the process he seemed to be surrounded by orange flames. If you're gonna complain about my training, then go train with number 7 down in the kitchen, Zoro responded by drawing out Shusu and Sandai Kitetsu. Blue flames erupted around Zoro. Kaboom! The two clashed in a sea of blue and orange flames. Robin just watched the bickering too with her normal smile. She looked out the window to see an island shape appear on the horizon. I see it, everyone heard a certain rubber idiot yell. Hey everyone, I see the island. Oh, it appears we've arrived, she said, causing the green-haired man and haired boy to stop fighting and look out the window. Currently the pirates were not under sail power but rather cola-powered motion. Why, you ask? Well, you see, they are currently in the calm belt heading for a certain island. Luffy begged and begged this island for a while now, his main reason being that they had real good food. Yes, the Straw Hat Pirates were on their way to Amazon Lily. And boy, for several surprises when they get there. 10 minutes later the Straw Hats found themselves docking in the Land of Women. They were met with a very interesting surprise. Luffy-sama, a woman, tall, slender woman with long black hair past her waist, locks of hair that framed her face down to her chin, large breasts, a high forehead, and light brown eyes that had long, voluminous lashes. She wore a revealing blue blouse that showed much of her chest and a loose blue sarong that exposed her long, slender legs with the green symbol of the Kyuja adorned on it, along with a white cape sporting epaulets, and blue high-heel pumps. Her name was Royal Shichibuke Pirate Empress Boa Hancock, the most beautiful woman in the world, Empress of Amazon Lily and the eldest of the Gorgon sisters. Right behind her was a large white snake with large pink spots running down its body. The underside of its body was pale yellow, with thin horizontal black lines across it. It wore a horn on top of its head, had blue hair jutting out from the back of the skull, and was seen with its mouth turned up in a smile. It was Salome, Hancock's personal snake weapon. There were many other women with her, 3 of which are more important than the others. One woman had short, unruly blonde hair, long slender legs, and a slim, curvaceous figure. She wore a revealing bikini top and miniskirt made out of animal skin that greatly show off her cleavage and long legs, and a white cape that seems to resemble a marine jacket. She had a snake, whom is black and green striped, wrapped around her waist at most times. She was also wearing some striped leggings similar to a stocking on her right leg, along with high-heeled boots. Her name was Marguerite. The two other women were a little different. The first was a large woman who resembled green eyes and hair. Like the rest of the Kuja, she dressed in very revealing clothing. She was the youngest of the Gorgon sisters, Boa Sandersonia. The woman next to her was a muscled, obese and large woman. She had large breasts with revealing cleavage. Her long orange hair was arranged in a way that it looked like patterns on a cobra's hood, and like everyone else on the island she wore so little clothing she might as well have been wearing nothing. This was Boa. Luffy cried out happily to see many of his friends. The straw hat wearing pirate jumped off the ship waving his arms wildly with excitement as he did. It's been way too long. Hancock clasped her hands over her mouth and blushed furiously. He said my name. She regained her composure slightly. Now that you've returned Luffy-sama, we can get married. Nani? The entire Straw Hat crew yelled, particularly Sanji was the loudest one. Crunch! Nami gripped the rail so tightly it started to splinter. Geez Nami, what the hell? Usopp yelled. Ops, sorry Frankie, she said. That's okay, it's an easy fix, the cyborg said. What are you talking about, Hammock? Luffy said, I'm not marrying you. Oh hey guys, what's up? He said, walking past the Empress to Marguerite, Sandersonia, Marigold and the rest of the Kuja. Hi Luffy, Marguerite said with a smile, it's good to see you again. Sure as Luffy replied. By now all the pirates had gotten off of the Sunny and were behind their captain. This is my crew. You guys haven't met them yet, have you? No we haven't, Marigold said. Nice to meet you, Sandersonia said. I must ask, what are those strange creatures? The snake woman asked, pointing to Chopper, Frankie, Brook and Kurama, who all turned their eyes to see Zoro and Sanji fighting once again. Kurama said, I don't see any strange creatures. What's she talking about? Frankie asked, donning a signature pose. The only thing I see are our cook and swordsman, but I can't see cause I've got no eyes. Yahahaho. Oh, that's just Zoro and Sanji. Chopper said to Sandersonia. I think she was referring to you idiots, Naruto said under his breath. He over by the Hancock. Every once in a while saying that they aren't getting married. Oh, someone's jealous, he said as he spotted Nami sending dirty looks at the warlord. We're gonna skip forward here to the more important things that happened on this island. Basically Neon was against everyone except Luffy, Nami and Robin entering the city due to their laws, but Luffy and Hancock convinced her otherwise. Boy was Sanji thrilled. He began to swoon, charm and flirt with almost every pretty girl. Kurama seemed to follow Sanji and Brook wherever they decided to go cause there were girls everywhere. Zoro decided to stay aboard the ship and work out, though he somehow ended up in the jungles. Usopp went out to look at the plant on the island while Chopper went to the library with Robin and Naruto for the day. Brook became a pimp. Girls apparently loved the Soul King, so long as he didn't ask for panties. Imagine his surprise with the reply, panties? What are those? Go map the island, which surprisingly, well to everyone except Naruto, Kurama and Robin, Luffy asked if he could go as well. Despite the apparent alone time, Hancock went with them, kind of ruining the mood and distracting Nami from her cartography. Eventually everyone gathered in the palace for dinner. At the dining hall everyone took their seats. Naruto sat between Zoro, who surprisingly found his way back, and Robin. Chopper sat to Zoro's left. Chopper was across from Frankie, who had broke Kurama and Sanji in that order, to his right. At the head of the table sat Luffy, to his right was Nami, to his left was Hancock. The entire meal consisted of food, laughs, several male pirates making complete buffoons of themselves, cough Luffy, cough Chopper, cough Brook, cough, and Hancock feeding Luffy. It was the evening when Hancock said it. Luffy, she asked. He looked at her and she turned her head. What is it, Hammock? Luffy full of food. Smack. Nami hit him upside the head. Swallow before you speak, Luffy, she said. Nami suddenly felt a dark look gazing upon her. How you hit Luffy? Hancock growled. What are you, some kind of witch? No, I just so happen to be one of the. Nami replied, glaring back at the Empress. Besides, didn't you have something to say to Luffy? Nami added as she. Oh yes. Hancock turned back into her lovey-dovey mode as she turned back to Luffy. Luffy, would you like to meet your daughter? PWWWSSHH. All the Straw Hats suddenly spat out their food and drink in one giant spit take. Well, everyone except Robin, who just doesn't do that sort of thing, and Chopper, who ended down the wrong pipe. Not a single one of them was expecting that. The music suddenly stopped and the entire room became so quiet you could hear a pin drop, or Chopper slamming his hoofs on the table to get someone to help him. What? The entire crew demanded. Actually, you can guess who didn't yell. The entire crew was filled with different reactions. Chopper, Naruto, Kurama, and Usopp were completely shocked to the point where Naruto had to perform the Heimlich maneuver to save a choking Chopper. Brooke and Frankie were congratulating Luffy while Sanji was completely fuming. Robin and Zoro had the straightest faces possible, unable to process what was just said, and Nami, well, she really wanted to strangle Hancock, but she settled on crushing her glass instead. Daughter, what the hell are you talking about? Luffy demanded. Suddenly he felt two strong hands wrap around his collar. Luffy, what the hell were you doing those 2 years? Sanji demanded. Oh, he was seemingly engulfed in fire, you damn shitty rubber bastard. How could you do such a thing to Hancock Chuan? What gives, Sanji? I didn't do it to her. You didn't do anything? Why ought to be? Hey, leave him alone, dartboard bra. If he said he didn't do it with her. You say, shitty swordsman, Sanji yelled, turning his attention to Zoro. You should know as well as the rest of us that Luffy can't lie to save his skin. Even if he's not lying, he had a kid with Hancock Chuan and has taken absolutely no responsibility, Sanji yelled back. How about it, Luffy? Hancock asked, ignoring the cook and swordsman. Would you like to meet her? I still don't know what you're talking about, Luffy asked. I know where babies come from and I never did that. So why the saying sh? Well, I adopted her, Hancock said. About a year ago my crew and I rescued her from a slave trader ship. And since you again we were engaged. Well, now that makes way more sense, Nami said, throwing her arms into the air in relief. Didn't be a father yet. She is my daughter, and yours if you. I'm not marrying you, Luffy said, stuffing even more food into his mouth. Are you fine with meeting your daughter, Luffy? Hancock asked. She wasn't my daughter, Luffy asked, but okay. Urza, you can come in now, Hancock called. Almost instantly the doors to the dining room opened and through them walked a little girl, no older than 7 or 8. She had long scarlet hair that fell down to her waist. Her eyes were both brown. She also had several strands of hair framing the left side of her face, and these were black. She belt around her waist. She wore small black boots on her feet. Her left arm was completely covered in armor while a small red snake with black stripes was coiled up her right arm. You called for me, mother? The girl asked. Urza-chan, how many times must I tell you to stop being so formal with me? Hancock asked the little girl sweetly. I apologize, Mom, the girl said, lowering her head. Okay, even Nami. The girl was cute and adorable. Geez, how long is it gonna take to break you out of this formal habit of yours? Well, anyway. This is our Hancock said to Luffy. Again, I'm not married, nor am I marrying you, Luffy said. Little girl and smiled. Hi. Are you going to be my daddy? She asked curiously. No, Luffy relied bluntly. Urza's eyes began to well up with tears. But you're all my mommy talks about. You seem like a big crybaby. I don't like you. Luffy relied, smiling and stuffing more food into his mouth. This made Urza cry even more and everyone felt bad for her. Whack, Nami smacked him upside the head again. This time she was accompanied by Sanji's foot. You made a little girl cry, Luffy, Sanji said, cracking his knuckles. What do you have to say for yourself? Luffy, nice to her, Nami said, even though she isn't your biological child. I know, never slept with Hancock. Nami, you're the only one I've done that with, Luffy said. Now things were gonna get even more awkward and hectic. We'll now change scenery once again, this time back to Konoha. A couple hours ago, Kushina, Natsumi. However, our focus for now will be on Minato Namikaze. Currently Minato was sitting in his office just staring out the window. He was deep in thought, trying to wrap his and had said to him, flashback no jutsu. Okay, so out of you 4, only Kushina, Menmakun and Natsumi-chan passed. Minato-sama, you are too conflicted as of now to learn these secret shinobi arts. What? Minato asked, dumbfounded. Don't try to play dumb, Shen said in a tone. Look deep inside yourself and you'll see it to be true. I learned the chakra not 2 minutes ago. You neglected and practically abandoned your son to a sea of wolves. No, not wolves. Wolves are noble creatures that care for each other. You fed him to the hyenas without a care or second thought. Until you grow the Uzumaki secrets that you married into. I understand, Minato said, lowering his head in defeat. Shen leaned it in next to the ear ever so quietly. While you may not be meant to leave, there is something else out there for you. Ask your sensei about it. Flashback no jutsu release. Shen is absolutely correct, Minato said to himself. I've been holding on to my convictions about myself for too long. Never doing what I should have, rather doing what satisfied my personal pleasure. He turned around to fill it out. This form only fix a few problems that he had, namely how those who mistreated Naruto would be dealt with. Many times while he walked down the streets with Kushina and Natsumi, even he noticed people saying things. To a highly trained ear such as his, it was easy to. The demon disappeared. Really? About damn time if you asked me. I still don't understand why the Hokage let that creature live. If it were about his son. No, not his son. Just like Kushina, he no longer had the right to call Naruto his son. He shouldn't even exclude himself from the people who harmed Naruto. He was just as responsible, if not more so, than everyone else. Alright, all I have to do is. Immediately, however, Minato never got to sign the document. Poof, the yellow flash disappeared in a large puff of smoke. Almost at the same instant he disappeared, the door to his office opened. In walked a frail, old man, who walked with a cane. He had black, shaggy hair, and his right eye was bandaged while his left eye was apparently closed. A white shirt, with a black or dark gray robe over the top of it, covering from his feet to just over his right shoulder. The robe conceals his right arm, which was bandaged, and covered with 3 big braces. This man's name was Shimaru Danzo. Hokage-sama, he said, entering the room. I have matters Minato anywhere. That bastard. First he allows the Kyuubi, then he lets the last Uzumaki leave with her children. I swear to God he doesn't know about running this village. We should be focusing our efforts into locating the fox before our enemies, not looking for his lost son. He walked up to the desk and noticed the paper on it. Surprising. It appears Minato cares for the worthless container after all. Whoosh! Suddenly an Anbu appeared behind him in a bowing position. His mask had the. It was clearly noticeable that he was much younger than the others, mainly due to his height. Danzo-san, I did not where the Hokage is. I must speak with him at once. I'm afraid Minato isn't here at the moment. You may relay the information to me, Weasel, Danzo said, turning to the young Anbu. I'd rather report directly to the Hokage. It will. Son. No, not his son. Just like Kushina, he no longer had the right to call Naruto his son. He shouldn't even exclude himself from the people who harmed Naruto. He was just as responsible, if not more so, than everyone else. Alright, all I have to do is sign, and this law goes into effect immediately. However, Minato never got to sign the document. Poof, the yellow flash disappeared in a large puff of smoke. Almost at the same instant he disappeared, the door to his office opened. In walked a frail, old man, who walked with a cane. He had black, shaggy hair, and his right eye was bandaged while his left eye was apparently closed. The man had an X-shaped scar on his chin, a white shirt, with a black or dark gray robe over the top of it, covering from his feet to just over his right shoulder. The robe conceals his right arm, which was bandaged and covered with 3 big braces. This man's name was Shimaru Danzo. Hokage-sama, he said, entering the room. I have matters I wish to discuss with you. He looked around and found no sign of Minato anywhere. That bastard. First he allows the Kyuubi, then he lets the last Uzumaki leave with her children. I swear to God he doesn't know the first thing about running this village. We should be focusing our efforts into locating the fox before our enemies, not looking for his lost son. He walked up to the desk and noticed the paper on it. He picked it up and read it over. Well, this is certainly surprising. It appears Minato cares for the worthless container after all. Whoosh! Suddenly an Anbu appeared behind him in a bowing position. His mask had the image of a weasel on it, and while this Anbu wore the standard attire, it was clearly noticeable that he was much younger than the others, mainly due to his height. Danzo-san, I did not expect you to be here. Please tell me where the Hokage is. I must speak with him at once. I'm afraid Minato isn't here at the moment. You may relay the information to me, Weasel, Danzo said, turning to the young Anbu. I'd rather report directly to the Hokage. You will do as I say, Itachi, or I will have my roots wipe out your clan for their treachery. Now tell me exactly what was discussed in the last Uchiha meeting. Off! The smoke around Minato cleared and the yellow flash found himself no longer in his office. Instead he was in the Great Toad Sage's chamber. In front of him sat the Great Toad Sage, Fukasaku, Shima, and Jiraiya. What's going on? Minato asked. It's good to meet you. We had Jiraiya boy summon you here, the large toad said. Who are you again? Senile old coot, Fukasaku said. That's Minato boy, you know, the boy Jiraiya boy doesn't stop talking about. Yes, the Toad Sage said. Minato, you were summoned here because we would like to teach you how to use Senjutsu. You're going to teach me Senjutsu? Minato asked, bewildered. Are you sure I deserve to learn it? Yes, we are absolutely sure, Shima said. Jiraiya boy told us the whole story. With Kushina learning her clan's secrets, we need to teach you something as well, Fukasaku added. Besides, Sage mode is perfect for you. Alright, Minato said. When do we start? Right now. Shima said. Follow us to begin with that. Fukasaku and Shima headed out of the chamber. Alright, sensei, are you going to help me here? Minato asked the pervert. Not this time, Minato. Jiraiya said. I've got to go meet with the Kuja. Finding their island is much harder now. Seriously, it's like it doesn't exist. I can't imagine it being that hard, Minato said. Islands don't move. Yeah, but it doesn't help that any ship I ride on mumble about how the ocean is cursed. The weather changes in an instant, from bright and sunny to category 5 or more hurricanes. Jiraiya said. Like I said before, Minato, navigational tools don't work and there are apparently no maps of anything beyond the elemental nations. Well, try to meet with them. Elder Neon. Oh, that old lady isn't much of a threat at all. It's her apparent daughter that I'd be more concerned with. How so? Two things. One, she's so hot it's impossible not to ogle over her assets and the rest of her figure as well. I saw women practically worshipping her. 2. She has a strange bloodline that allows her to turn anyone and anything to stone. Is that how she beat you? Yep, Jiraiya said. Totally unfair for her to wear such a revealing outfit. I couldn't do anything. Ahem, Fukasaku coughed. If you don't mind, Minato boy, we have Senjutsu to learn. Right, I'll see you later, Senesi. Minato waved at the older pervert as he followed Fukasaku out of the Toad Sage's chamber. So you gonna tell Minato about the animal war prophecy? Jiraiya asked. Perhaps later, the sage said. Right now is not the time to tell. What's his face? Minato, Jiraiya said, correcting the sage once more. Over on Amazon Lily things were just as we left them. All hell had broken loose. What? Hancock and Sanji yelled upon hearing that Luffy and Nami have been sleeping together. Bitch. Hancock yelled as she leaped over the table, tackling Nami to the floor. The two women were grappling each other, pulling their hair and apparently clawing at each other on their faces and other areas. After only 10 seconds their hair was disheveled, bruises and scratches adorned them. One of Nami's bikini straps was broken while one of Hancock's sleeves was torn off and the lower part of her blouse was torn open, yet the clothing still covered their breasts. Ah, Nami. Hammock. Luffy watched wide-eyed as the two women fought. But his cries fell on deaf ears. Luffy, Sanji roared, scaring the straw hat-wearing teen. Boom! Sanji planted a flaming leg firmly in Luffy's face. The young pirate was thrown into the far wall, his head became embedded in the wall. Ah, Luffy, Chopper yelled, worried. Sanji, what the hell's gotten into you? Usopp demanded. Whore, Nami yelled back at Hancock. Should we stop this? Naruto asked. Not sure, Urza answered. I don't think we can stop it. Maybe we should just slip out of here, Naruto whispered to the person to his right. He thought it was Kurama, but it just so happened to be Urza. Naruto grabbed her hand and ran out of the room, completely unaware of what he was doing. Man-stealer, Hancock yelled back. Let's let this play out, Kurama said. We might get to see some panties broke added. That would be awesome. Skank, Nami retorted. Luffy, I'm gonna kill you, Sanji yelled as he charged Luffy completely wreathed in flames. Boom! Sanji's kick was blocked by Zoro's sword. Get out of the Wizmirimo. I'm going to murder him. This is hardly something to get worked up over. You knew about this. Yeah, I did. They weren't that good at hitting it. What? Sanji demanded. He turned to the rest of the crew. All right, you bastards, who else knew? We didn't know. Usopp, Chopper, Brook and Frankie said. We didn't know. Naruto and Kurama said, whistling and avoiding eye contact. That didn't help. Sanji saw right through the lie. Before he could do anything, arms sprouted around him. Completely restraining the cook Robin Schwan, he whined as he turned to her with a heart-shaped eye pouring anime tears. Slut. The two women just wouldn't stop trying to kill each other, all the while they yelled out quite a few colorful insults. The two women disengaged momentarily before charging again, Hancock ready to kick while Nami readied her lightning-charged clim attacked. Stop, Luffy yelled. Boom! Two hands stopped the women. One grabbed Hancock's leg inches from Nami's head while the other was holding Nami's staff back inches from Hancock's head. Everyone in the room froze as an enormous chill flowed down their spines. Nami and Hancock stopped trying to rip each other apart and turned to Luffy, who was looking at them with an upset expression. He let go of them and lowered his head and walked out of the room without another word. Luffy, Nami and Hancock whispered at the same time. They both shot glares at each other, but before it could escalate, hands sprouted all over them holding the two enraged women still. Both of you stop it, Robin said with a dead serious gaze, her arms crossed over her chest. The two women stopped resisting. What you two did just now really hurt Luffy. How do you think he feels seeing two people he loves and cares for fight? Nami and Hancock hung their heads in shame. So he loves Nami more than anyone else. What exactly does that prove? You're right, Robin, Nami said as she moved her right hand to her left shoulder. I'll know she said, turning back to Hancock. We will go talk to him. Hancock just avoided Nami's eye contact. A look of sadness had been etched on her angelic face. Let's go, Nami said, extending a hand out to the Pirate Empress, who hesitantly took it before being led out of the room by Nami. All right, Kurama, I think now would be a good time to either train or sleep. I can't decide. I'm not Kurama, a female voice said to him. Naruto looked over his shoulder and found himself face to face with Hancock's daughter. Whoops, sorry, Naruto said, flashing a grin and placing his hands over the back of his head. I thought you were Kurama. It must have been the red hair. I mixed it up with Kurama's orange fur. Urza giggled at Naruto's antics. You're pretty funny. Thank you. I'm here till. Naruto paused and scratched his chin. Actually, I'm here as long as we decide to stay. You have got to be the funniest person I've ever met. I guess you haven't met many funny people. Urza's face hardened as she turned away. Did I strike a nerve there? I'm sorry if I did. No, it's not your fault, Urza said. You didn't know. She proceeded to sit down on the edge, her legs dangling over the side. After about a minute, Naruto sat down next to her and looked up at the sky to see countless stars shining brightly above them, accompanied by a full moon. So how long have you been the princess here? Well, a year ago I was a slave, she finished quietly. Really? Naruto asked. He was answered by Urza removing the top of her dress and showing him her back. Just above her waist, in the lower right of her back, was a red circle with 4 triangular protrusions, 3 on top and 1 on the bottom, the hoof of the soaring dragon. You really were a slave. Yeah, she said, putting her top back on. Maybe that's why my mom adopted me shortly after she took me, and I saw the same mark on her back. Wait, Naruto demanded, waving his hands in front of her. You mean to tell me that Hancock was also a slave? Oops, Urza said, placing her hands over her mouth, releasing a small eep as she did. I wasn't supposed to say that. Urza's face hardened as she pulled a knife out of her boot. Faster than Naruto could register, her snake coiled around his arms while Urza pinned Naruto to the ground, holding the knife against his throat. If you so much as think about what I just said, I will slit your throat, cut out your tongue and castrate you. Naruto merely gulped nervously as he looked from the knife to her face. I promise. Good, Urza said, getting off of him. With the snap of her fingers, her snake let go of Naruto and she helped him up. A minute later, both 7-year-olds were once again sitting on the edge of the cliff, looking out as if nothing happened. So you've lived her for the last year? Naruto said, trying to strike up a new conversation. Yes, ever since I got here I've been trained to be a warrior. One day I hope to join the Kuja pirates and eventually surpass and succeed my mom as the captain and the empress. That sounds awesome, Naruto said. I myself haven't decided on a goal or dream yet. Why not? It's a long story, but the short form of it is that I'm living life one day at a time the way I want to. I'll tell you mine, Urza said. I'm all ears, but I probably won't tell you about mine. While this whole fiasco was happening, Elder Neon was busy writing down something in her chamber. Ever since the Straw Hats had arrived, the old empress couldn't take her eyes off of Naruto. His resemblance to the Hokage was so uncanny that the only logical explanation was that the Naruto with the Straw Hats was the same Naruto that was the son of Minato. Minato-san wasn't kidding when he said his son would be strong. She said to think he had Naruto go with the Straw Hats to prepare him to fight Urza-chan. She went out to her balcony and saw the two children sitting on a ledge just talking to each other. I really wish I could do that, Urza said, hugging her knees to her chest as Naruto finished telling her about all the adventures he's had since leaving home. I'm supposed to prepare to fight some guy. In 11 years. Apparently my grandmother made a deal with some strange man about 10 years ago. My mother was to marry this man's apprentice. She was completely against it, but since it's to protect the island and its people, she agreed to this marriage. She got lucky when she learned that the man's apprentice was already married and had 2 kids. That meant she would have to get married to him. She learned this shortly after meeting your captain. You mean him? Naruto asked, pointing over the ledge to a balcony below them. Yeah, him. Wait, what's he doing here? Sure enough, right below them was one Monkey D. Luffy leaning against a railing looking out at the sea. Wait, there's someone with him, Naruto said, squinting into the dark. Right behind the pirate captain were the 2 women that had just been fighting, Nami and Hancock. The 2 women appeared to be talking to Luffy, but the straw hat wearing pirate made no indication that he was listening. What are they saying? Urza asked. I don't know. Damn, I wish Robin were here. Naruto said she'd just sprout an ear on one of those 3 and just listen in on the conversation. Neither child could make out what was being said, but they could see exactly what was happening. Hancock walked up to Luffy and took his right hand, turning him around before leading him over to Nami, placing their hands together and backing away from the couple. Luffy then seemed to take something out of his pocket and show it to Nami. The orange-haired girl gasped at what was being shown to her. Tears welled up in her eyes as she nodded quickly. Luffy took her hand and without warning Nami tackled Luffy to the ground with a hug, kissing him as she did. Hancock said as tears welled up in her eyes. You 2 love each other. Yeah, Luffy said, looking up from Nami's eyes then to Hancock. Yeah, we do. I guess I'll leave then. Hancock began to turn around. Know this girl, she said, catching Nami's attention. You may have won this battle, but I refuse to give up until the war is over. I'm pretty sure it is over, Nami thought as the pirate empress left. The navigator returned her attention to her captain, who was now staring longingly into her eyes. Instinctively their fingers began to intertwine as they both leaned in and locked lips. They kept their lips locked for about a minute until they broke apart to catch a quick breath before diving right back in. Hey, you 2, get a room, will ya? The pirate couple looked up the cliff to see the entire crew, Urza, Marguerite, Sandersonia and Marigold, looking down on them. All people present had wide smiles. Hell, even Sanji was happy with what he was seeing. Well, he was going to have a very nice talk with Luffy when things cleared up. Meanwhile, in the elemental nations, Shen, Kushina, Menma, Mikoto and Natsumi had reached the border of Fire and Whirlpool. How much farther, Shen? Mikoto asked. We're about 1 day away, Shen replied with a smile. And so they continued walking. Until they stopped at a clearing. This looks like a good spot. We'll camp here tonight. About 2 hours later, the 5 travelers were all sitting around a campfire. Shen, can you tell me what exactly happened to Yuza Shiogakure during the Third Shinobi War? Kushian asked as she rocked Menma to sleep. Shen took a deep breath before turning to Kushina, a smile on his face. Sorry, but I don't know the full details, but from what I heard, your brother, Ryoboku, was a major cause of our destruction. Ryoboku would never have done such a thing. Clam down, I said he was a cause, not the architect of it. Besides, a number of factors were involved, mainly due to a small civil war we had. Civil war? The 3 women asked. Yeah, several years after you were sent to Konoha, the branch family rebelled against the main house. Why would that happen? Natsumi asked. Well, mainly due to the fact they were all jealous of the main house. Uzumaki Nagi was the man who led the rebellion. He had radical ideas of how the clan should be run, but your father Saki would have none of it. What kind of ideas? Kushina asked. Well, for one main reason, since you were gone, Ryoboku left, Hidario vanished and Irami and your mother were dead. He believed that, since there was no one else to run the clan after your father and therefore no one to run the village, the leader of the clan and village should be chosen by the people. Which would mean that members of the branch family could run everything if that was what the people chose. How is that a bad thing? Natsumi asked. The Uzumaki are known to be very, very stubborn. Shen said Helsaki-san was against the idea of intermarriages, so much so that if he were still alive today he would have disowned you the moment he discovered your marriage to Minato. Kushina was shocked. Her father, a man she had always viewed as a kind and gentle man, was known to disown and kick out members of the Uzumaki clan because they found love elsewhere. Was my father really like that? From what my father told me, Saki-san was the co-reason that both Ryoboku and Hidario left the village, mainly due to a feeling of being unloved, and Ryoboku didn't want to be tied down. I myself only met the two of them once, Hidario almost 20 years ago and Ryoboku 14 years ago. I haven't seen either of them since I was 7. Kushina said. What happened to both of them? That I cannot say, Shen said, getting up. That is a question to ask my father. But I will ask you, do you remember Hidario leaving and never returning? I don't remember that. Course you don't, it was the same year you were born, 35 years ago. Shen said. With those words Shen laid down and went to sleep. Get some sleep, ladies, we've got one more day of travel ahead of us. And guys, this is the end. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Peace.